Chaos and Capital, turning market turmoil into comedy gold. Welcome to Chaos and Capital, the only finance show where we turn market turmoil into comedy gold without dropping the ball or the fishbowl. I'm your host, here to break down the biggest financial stories with the perfect mix of sharpness and snark. And joining me, as always, is Gerald, our silent but expressive Chief Mascot Officer, floating in his tank and silently judging the markets. Quick reminder, nothing you hear here is financial advice. It's like sushi-grade entertainment for your brain. Digest responsibly. Now, onto the markets, which today feel like a party where some guests are popping champagne and others are hiding under the table. Speaking of parties, China is celebrating Lunar New Year today. Yes, they're a full day ahead of most of the Western world, an early start on 2025 and a season of reflection, renewal, and apparently shaking up the tech world. This new year marks not just the start of the Year of the Snake, but also the rise of a metaphorical dragon, DeepSeek, a Chinese AI company disrupting the global tech landscape faster than you can say, innovate or evaporate. Here's the headline you can't miss. Nvidia just took a nosedive, experiencing its worst single-day stock drop in history. A massive 18% plunge that wiped out an eye-watering $589 billion in market value. That's not just a dip, it's a cannonball into the deep end. And the cause of this ripple effect? DeepSeek, a Chinese AI juggernaut that set a new standard for efficiency. Using just 2,000 specialized chips and a development budget of $5.58 million, 10 times less than its competitors, they've achieved results that have tech executives in the US sweating through their suits. Sam Altman himself called it a wake-up call, and he's not wrong. But here's the kicker: the timing. This seismic tech shift coincides with China's Lunar New Year celebrations, a time that symbolizes fresh starts and bold achievements. It's almost poetic. DeepSeek's breakthrough feels like a perfectly timed firework display, lighting up the sky while the rest of the world watches in awe. As families in China feast and celebrate, global markets are left scrambling to recalibrate their strategies. Meanwhile, the Western world will join in Lunar New Year celebrations tomorrow, a reminder of how China's influence operates on its own clock, both figuratively and literally. Back in the US, President Trump has announced new tariffs on imported computer chips, steel, and pharmaceuticals. The goal? To boost domestic production. The reality? Well, let's just say it's creating more tension than a poorly made fishing net. With Chinese companies like DeepSeek rising to prominence, the US is tightening its grip on its industries. But the question remains, is it enough to stay competitive? The ripple effects are hitting hard. Nvidia, Broadcom, and TSMC have collectively seen over $1.469 trillion in market value wiped out in just one day. Yes, trillion. With a T. Some investors are cautiously optimistic, eyeing this as a chance to buy the dip, while others are bracing for a longer-term correction. And all this volatility during the Lunar New Year, a period traditionally associated with prosperity and planning, feels like a stark reminder of how quickly fortunes can change in our interconnected world. Zooming out, Europe's tech sector is struggling to stay afloat, falling behind the US and China in fostering innovation. Meanwhile, Mexico is holding its own amid global uncertainties, with December exports rising 4.9% to $617.4 billion. Sure, there's a trade deficit of $821.2 million, but in this market, that's practically a win. Even so, the interconnected nature of global trade means no one is immune to these seismic shifts. Let's not forget the broader economic environment. The US dollar is flexing its muscles, commodity prices are bouncing around like they're on a trampoline, and the Federal Reserve is casting a long shadow over market decisions. Combine that with the Lunar New Year's themes of renewal and ambition, and it's clear that the world is in for big changes. DeepSeek's rise is a wake-up call, not just for Nvidia, but for every tech company in the race to innovate. Before we wrap up, let's talk about Gerald. Our beloved CMO may not talk, He's a goldfish after all. But he's been working overtime to get this channel the love it deserves. If you've laughed, learned, or even just thought, wow, these people really lean into fish metaphors, then do Gerald a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. It's free, it's easy, and it'll make Gerald happier than a fish in a tank full of bubbles. Trust me, his New Year's resolution is all about growing this channel. As we look ahead, the tech sector's future has never been more competitive. DeepSeek's achievements aren't just impressive, they're a wake-up call for the global industry. The financial world is a lot like the ocean, deep, unpredictable, and full of surprises. Thanks for tuning in to Chaos and Capital, where we turn finance into fun without losing sight of the facts. Gerald and I will see you tomorrow, same time, same channel. Stay curious, swim safely, and remember, no financial advice here, just fantastic insights.